Those of you who know, we've covered Flint quite a lot. There's also a major water problem in Newark right now. I was in Newark recently interviewing some folks. They found extremely high levels of lead that have been there. Basically, they've known about the high lead in Newark dating back all the way to, I think, 2008, 2010, when, the Cory Booker, who's running on Love, I don't know why he's still running, because he ain't getting any votes, that's for sure. Cory Booker was mayor in Newark when they started finding high lead levels in the schools, and Cory Booker basically didn't do that much about it. And now it's turned into a massive crisis. So they are starting to come together, saying that they're going to change all the lead service lines in Newark over the next 3 to 4 years. I think that's a good start. I think 3 to 4 years is way too long. I don't think that would happen anywhere else. It would not take that long in Manhattan. It would not take that long in, let's say, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, a little bit nicer places. Newark, high poverty rate, high rate of African Americans. So now, while the residents of Newark who don't have clean water are waiting, court rules against Newark activists in battle over bottled water. Oh, so why should we give them enough bottled water while they're getting poisoned by lead in the water? That would be too democratic or humane to do. The city of Newark doesn't have to expand its free bottled water program as it continues to cope with lead contamination in an estimated 18,000 homes, a federal judge ruled. Newark recently began handing out free bottled water for some residents after the U.S. EPA said water filters, a key element of officials' plan to fight the contamination, may not be working as expected. City officials have insisted the contamination is only taking place at homes with lead service lines or lead plumbing in the Pequannock system and have limited the bottled water distribution to residents who live in that area. But activists wanted the city to expand the program to pregnant and nursing women and children under 6 in the Wannock service area too, which they claim is also seeing elevated lead levels. After the city announced its plan to hand out free bottled water last month, the Newark Education Workers Caucus and the Natural Resources Defense Council filed a legal demand to expand the program. But on August 30th, a U.S. district judge denied their request. In her decision, Esther Salas wrote that the activists haven't shown there is a danger of imminent irreparable harm or a systematic failure in the Wannock system. Quote, to the contrary, the evidence presented during the hearing supports the finding that the corrosion control in the Wannock service area is functioning and effective. Well, folks, if you're watching from Flint, if you're watching from an area that's already done this dance before, they typically like to tell you, oh, it's only happening over there. Oh, it's not as big of a deal as you might think. In Flint, at first, the city was saying, oh, it's only in this one house on this block. And the state tried to make it seem like it's only in certain parts of Flint. Yeah, well, when the crisis boiled over and became a national crisis, they had brown, dirty water all over the city. If you don't know, in Newark, lead pipes, a lot of the lead pipes were built in the 1880s. No, I'm not making that up. 1880s. So here you have a judge and the city telling you, oh, it's only in this one area, so you don't have to provide bottled water citywide. Yeah, pipes in New Jersey City were installed in the 1880s. There's lead in them, and it's a problem. Newark and the water group suing it may be fighting in court, but there's one thing both sides agree on. Residents need to understand the importance of lead-contaminated water and what to do about it. For the third consecutive 6-month period, the city of Newark reported elevated levels of lead in its tap water in 12% of its samples. I don't buy that for a second. I think it's more than that, but I digress. Quote, we have identified that there's an issue and we're trying to address it. Tiffany Stewart, legal counsel for the city's water and sewer department, said, Newark officials have insisted the water from its reservoirs is safe to drink, and the city's old infrastructure and 15,000 lead service lines, which connect from the water mains to each property, are causing the spikes. But the city's lead service line inventory, obtained through a public records request, shows some pipes date to the 1880s. The Natural Resources Defense Council, which sued the city in June for violating the state and federal regulations with its dangerously high levels of lead in its drinking waters, said it was disappointed the city had not done more to alleviate the problem. This is now a public health crisis that has been going on for at least 18 months. There's a sense of frustration that we've been trying to work with the city for a year at this point, talking about the steps if they need to take. You're telling me that you have hard evidence that in a city with pipes 150 years old, in many areas, that it's only in this one pocket called Newark system? And by the way, you don't have to live in Newark, or Flint, or Detroit, or Milwaukee, or Pittsburgh, or name your city with water problems for this to be important to you, because this goes to the playbook. This goes to what they consistently say in all of these situations. They keep trying to minimize the problem. They keep trying to pretend, or even if, let's say they're not pretending, to say with some certainty that the problem is only in certain areas of the city. But unless you have X-ray vision, unless you have X-ray technology to look inside all of the pipes all over the city, you have no way of knowing how and where, how pervasive and how rampant the high lead levels are around the city. But what you do know is you found high lead levels in schools dating back to 2010 when Cory Booker was mayor. What you do know is you have, in Newark, you have the old infrastructure, not just in one area, all over. In Newark, poverty is at 30%. In Newark, it's predominantly African American. So we've been here before, we've played this record before, and for them to be denying citywide bottled water until every single pipe is replaced is ridiculous, it's inhumane, and it's racist. Let's say, if you want just one example, this was an interview I did a couple weeks ago with a resident when I was on the ground there. It was with humidity, probably 100 degrees. I was schwitzing. I asked him, do you trust the city that it's only in certain areas? Let's take a look.
All right, everybody know what the problem is. Let's come to what the solution for the people who need water to drink. We cannot drink the water. This is Flint, Michigan. We cannot drink the water. It's the middle of summer. I mean, what you supposed to do is 100, almost 90-something degrees. What you supposed to do? A bunch of little kids, they want water. They constantly want water. I mean, what you supposed to do?
And it's also difficult because you're saying you got to go buy water.
Yeah, I got to go buy water.
This isn't exactly, the most wealthy area that people can afford to buy more and more water.
You're right. We got to keep buying more water. I work at a minimum wage job. My daughter, she's on a fixed income. I mean, how can we afford? And for a problem that we did not create.
And
we did not create. We just live here.
And you have 7 grandkids, so you
got to be.
Are you concerned at all about how long have they been drinking this?
They're all going to be tested before they go back to school. So they're all going to be tested for the lead because they gave us the filters. And then they said the filters don't work. Oh, but we were drinking the water with the filters. Now
they seem in many cities to be throwing filters at the problem, saying you're fine if you drink a filter, but filters go bad in hot water, and they might stop most lead, but they could cause bacterial issues and other issues.
They give out filters without filter education. How you give out filters? Hey, everybody take a filter. Okay, put it on your sink. Nobody else has education on how to use filters. You know how many people never use a filter, never bought a filter, and they just give you, they give you 10 filters. You want 10 filters here, but they don't tell you how to use them.
So that was a resident I spoke with a few weeks ago there. Definitely want to go back there because the problem's not getting better, folks. Problem's not getting better, especially when you have judges based on ridiculous hack science basically saying, no, we're not giving you bottled water. So what are the people supposed to do in Newark? What are these residents who are poor supposed to do if they can't afford bottled water? They're supposed to drink the dirty water because the service lines aren't being changed yet. And even when the service lines are changed, you still need thorough testing, independent testing. Because, by the way, let's not forget here, you can't just trust that the testing is credible. Water utilities and water departments around the country have been found to do some funny business with testing. Try and throw out high tests to get a lower average, so that they don't have, to try and throw out high tests so that they get a lower average, so that they don't go above the threshold that's allowed. This has been in Flint, in Detroit, in Philadelphia. They did this. Water utilities, The Guardian has done some good reporting on this, have been shown to cherry pick numbers all over this country. So the very people that you're trusting to give you the real numbers to make sure your kids are safe, well, they might have incentive to get artificially low numbers. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.